Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in 13 degrees of Scorpio, which will be exact on May 3rd at 11:42 p.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, or 8:42 p.m. Pacific time, which is also LA time. Now, for the next 2 weeks, we're looking for balance. We're more aware that something needs to be brought into alignment because we're dealing with two polarities. The balance in question is between our physical attachments and connections symbolized by Taurus and our emotional attachments and connections symbolized by Scorpio. Now, it's important to realize that deep, authentic, emotional connections to ourselves and to other people are really essential to our existence and play a really crucial role in defining and understanding what we value most and how we can value ourselves most. And that is connected to Taurus. So Taurus and Scorpio need each other. They need each other. That balance is very important. Now, any full moon is an extroverted and emotional time. And this particular one invites us to really let go of our fears and break through to the next level of our evolution. And it also invites us to illuminate what has been hidden in the shadows and what has been hidden sort of like for quite a while or suppressed in our lives because of certain past traumas or past hurts that we've been experiencing. So we're really ready now to delete some very old programming. So the question you can ask yourself for this full moon, what do I really want? Now, Taurus seeks comfort and stability, right, in connection to what we value most. And it wants us to have a healthy relationship with ourselves and really create good self-esteem and self-worth so we can share all the gifts that we have with the world, right, in a healthy way. Scorpio, on the other hand, craves transformation. It wants to put us in touch with our deepest desires, emotional desires, and our worst fears. And it's really essential to bring a lot of conscious awareness to the walls that we have built to feel protected and to feel empowered, so to speak, right? Because when we've experienced past trauma and feelings of disempowerment, very often we start to protect ourselves from wanting that to happen again. So we build a wall. We kind of like shut down a little bit. There's something that shuts down, like in our heart area, and our heart gets a little bit like frozen or stuck, right? And we also stop trusting other people. We stop trusting life when we've experienced trauma or disempowerment, right? So it's really important for us to address, these past traumas and these feelings of disempowerment and to really allow for the return of trust towards others and life in general. Because when we acknowledge our fears and we break down those walls, we can really transform into a truly powerful being of love and inner strength. And once we've overcome some of these things, and once we're able to really get connected to the love that we are, that is so much more powerful than any protective empowerment or any wall that we've put up that makes us feel like we're empowered. But really we're not. Underneath of it all, we still feel totally disempowered, and we still feel those past hurts and those past traumas very strongly, right? Now, the moon in Scorpio makes a trine to Neptune and Chiron in Pisces. And this is a very favorable combination that really supports our ability to release and heal traumas at this time. So for the next 2 weeks, we really have the ability to let go and to just open up a little bit more, to really get more connected to our heart center in a healthy way, where it's not about trying to protect ourselves, where it's really more about just really connecting to the love of who we are. And we're really getting an opportunity here to get the support from other people. So I really recommend for these next 2 weeks, any kind of healing modality that you can get connected with is going to be extremely helpful, whether that's Reiki or Reiki healing or crystals, or whether that's yoga or some kind of other modality that you know about that really supports you in letting go, in addressing some of these past traumas. It could also be coaching or therapy, or, I use the Sedona method with doing these things. So there's a lot of different modalities that are available for us to really take advantage of this energy for these next 2 weeks, right? So I encourage you to really step into that. Now, Pluto, which is the modern ruler of Scorpio, is in a sextile with the moon and trines the sun in Taurus. So this is also a very favorable combination, a very creative one, that really supports our long-term goals and feeling more empowered. So again, there is like an invitation to really transform some of these past traumas and past hurts and finally let them go. And, we can really build a very healthy foundation for our long-term goals once we're able to really transform and let go of these things. Now, Jupiter is another planet that's really important in this full moon chart. Jupiter in Leo is squaring the full moon. It's trining Uranus in Aries, and it's inconjuncting Pluto in Capricorn. So this sends a message that a new perspective is required, especially on how our social, religious, and cultural programming affects matters of the heart. How are we really connecting to our joy? How are we connecting to our authentic self-expression, to being creative, to being proud of who we are, right? How do we get connected to that? And because Jupiter is in a fixed sign right now and is squaring the full moon also in fixed signs, there's really some long-standing patterns that need to be addressed here. And the good news is that because Jupiter is in Leo and is making a trine to Uranus in Aries, we have the courage now to do just that and to really change these long-standing patterns and step into a more fully empowered experience of ourselves. And of course, it means that we need to make changes. It means that we need to make adjustments, right? And some of this will be of internal nature, where we need to kind of like get connected to, okay, what feels uncomfortable? How can we make these adjustments? And some of it will come through interactions with other people where we can see, oh, this is no longer working. I need to shift my perspective here. And that will be helpful. So things that you can ask yourself with this aspect is, do my possessions and relationships reflect who I am, who I currently am right now, or who I was conditioned to be? And this is a really powerful question to ask. And you can just sit with that for yourself and just kind of observe in your day-to-day experience with the world and interactions with other people and with, with your work and with everything, like what comes up for you if you keep having that question in the background and keep observing it. The other very powerful question to ask yourself is, am I motivated by love or fear, freedom or safety? Again, great question to sit with, great to just kind of like keep in the back of the mind as you're observing what's going on for you on a day-to-day basis. When we make these observations, it's very important also to not make any judgments about them, to just observe and allow ourselves to stay open and to be loving and kind and compassionate to ourselves as we are making these observations, right? Because judgment will cut ourselves off from other people and from ourselves, whereas understanding and kindness and compassion will keep the path open, it will keep the energy open, and we'll be able to move forward through that. Now, if we focus on what we don't want, very clearly, very often we get stuck, we get tense, we get scared, right? If we focus on the excitement around things that we do wish for, that is an inspiring energy that will propel us forward. So what's important is to really distinguish between fear and excitement, and to recognize that both of those things are connected to the unknown. They're sort of like the same energy, the opposite side of the coin, right? They're very closely connected. There's a very fine line between fear and excitement. I'm sure you've noticed that sometimes, right? Like when you go on a roller coaster ride, like there's this, we're excited, but we're also a little bit scared. So it's a very fine line, right? And it's very important to make a conscious choice around choosing fear or choosing excitement, because when we're stepping into the unknown, if we have a new project and we don't know how it's going to turn out, or with a relationship, we don't know what's going to happen, or we're changing something in our lives, we're stepping into a new experience with ourselves, we don't know what the outcome will be. We have a choice to either be really excited about that, because that means it's a new experience, we're going to be learning something new, we're going to be having an actual experience about ourselves and about life, which is, I believe, what we're here to do in the first place anyways. Or we can choose to be scared about all the things that could go wrong and all the things that could be really horrible and bad about not knowing what's going to happen. But the truth is, with anything that we don't know if it's going to be good or bad. So we can make a choice there to say, okay, it's going to be good, or it's going to be at least interesting, and it's going to be an exploration. We don't even have to say good or bad, It's just going to be what it is, and it's going to support us in our evolution, in moving forward, no matter what is going to show up. So we can be excited about that, right? Now, the best way to work with the full moon energy for the next 2 weeks is to realize that we're all equal, that everyone that exists in this world is equal, that we're all global citizens, and it is in our best interest to work with others who are committed to waking up and being agents of change for a better future. Now, those who don't fall into that category do not need to be condemned or ostracized. They will come around eventually. They just haven't gotten there yet. They are on a different timeline, right? As those of us who are already on that path. So focus on where you have influence rather than on forcing issues and struggling to change the very people that are not ready yet, that just haven't gotten to that place yet. Now, people are moving in different speeds, and we need to honor, we need to respect where people are at. But when we connect to like-minded people, when we connect to people who are already on that same path that we're on, who have similar visions for the future, that creates a ripple effect. And that ripple effect is connected to love and joy and excitement, because we're sharing a common goal. So there's more love and joy and excitement in that. And that is contagious. That is contagious to other people. When we're coming from fear and worry and wanting to control others and wanting to force issues, that repels people. That creates a separation. It creates an opposition. And that is never the way to connect and create a better future for the world. So it's really important that we get clear about that, and that we really put our focus where we do have influence. Now, last thing I want to say is that Neptune in Pisces is a focal point of a white T-square with Mercury in Gemini and Saturn in Sagittarius. And this really indicates a readiness for a shift in perspective, for limiting viewpoints, towards allowing ourselves to be less rigid and judgmental and more compassionate with ourselves and others. And this is really what's important, is to focus on being compassionate and being open and connecting to the heart. So if you experience with this aspect, if you experience that the mind sometimes gets a little bit confused, or there might be a sense of like not being able to be in total alignment with our thinking processes, just remember that that's a good thing. You're releasing and you're allowing for the flow to happen, to get more connected to your heart and to have faith, to get more connected to your inner divinity, to the universe, to source. Now, since Mercury will be retrograde for 3 weeks starting mid-May, this T-square will be reactivated several times over the next 7 weeks. So this is really going to be a big aspect that's going to happen long term. So this really sends a clear invitation that we need to re-examine our inner dialogue. We need to connect to our intuition, to our creativity. This is definitely going to be heightened during that time. And it's very important to be honest and empathetic in our communications, whether that's with ourselves or with other people. We're really being invited to integrate the head with the heart. And these next 7 weeks is just really important to allow yourself to come back to the heart and to let the heart guide what the mind wants to share and communicate and think about. So really keep getting back to, that place of understanding, that place of connecting, that place of love, that place of compassion, empathy, because that is always connected to the heart, and the heart always includes and connects. It doesn't separate. That's what the head does. The head will distinguish and separate and try to understand. And so if you're in that place where you're just connected to the head energy, just see if you can drop back into that place of heart and love and compassion, and start with yourself. When you're feeling that you're disconnected with the world, with yourself, with other people, drop into the heart and get really compassionate with yourself in that moment. That will be very helpful. Okay? Now, to sum it all up, this full moon invites us to stay in touch with our feelings and deepen our relationship with our unconscious mind and hidden aspects of ourselves. And so, again, it's really important that to make sure that we're able to let go of past traumas and past hurts. The future is going to look a lot less bleak once we're able to let go of that and just keep opening up our hearts more and trusting that we are okay. We've been okay so far. We are going to be okay. We're okay right now, and that's the truth. Now, there's a really beautiful quote that I read in a magazine from Deepak Chopra, which I think is a wonderful fit for this full moon, which is the things we fear the most have already happened to us. And I think that's very true, because very often when we have experienced this empowerment, we will kind of look into the future to see how can we prevent that from happening? How can we protect ourselves from that ever happening again? And that very thing, putting that into the future, is then what we're going to focus on, and is then what we're also going to be creating. So by letting that go, and by not trying to protect ourselves from past hurts, by not trying to hold on to these past hurts, and by affirming that we are okay in this now moment, that we're safe, that we are empowered, and opening up to the love that we are, that's deep down inside of us, the love that has always been there and that is actually the real you, and that has always been underneath all of the trauma and underneath all of the hurt. There's always been love. That is what we want to get connected to, and really understand that that's who we truly are. So be courageous. This is very important. Courage helps us to open up. It helps us to allow ourselves to trust other people, to trust ourselves, to trust life. And be kind to yourself. And also recognize that, all this empowerment, all these things that have happened to you that have been painful, have also created a tremendous inner strength in you. And that inner strength is very important, because that is something that really nobody can take away from you. So it's not about the inner strength of closing down and protecting. It's the inner strength of knowing that you are okay no matter what, that you can survive anything, and that you are able to really connect to your heart no matter what happens. No matter what occurs in the world, you can always stay connected to love and to your heart. And that's where true inner strength comes from. That's where true inner strength lies, and inner power. Now, if you do have personal planets or personal points in your birth chart in 11 to 15 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, you're definitely going to feel the effects of this full moon more strongly. But even if you don't have personal planets in those degrees and signs, then the house placement of the transiting sun and moon, so wherever you have 13 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, if you take a look at that in your birth chart, those areas of your life are going to need to be addressed during these next 2 weeks, and you need to find a balance between those two. Now, if all of that just sounded like Chinese, then definitely feel free to watch my video on how to read your birth chart. It is available on YouTube and on my website. But if you can't find it, you can also email us at info@astrologercoach.com and write recording into the subject line, and then we'll send you a link to the recording with some handouts from the class. Okay? Now, I have 2 announcements that I would love to make that are really exciting, great news. I have an early bird special for the Soul's Journey weekend in New York City that I'm extending, and it's now going to end on May 15th. So you have the opportunity to take advantage of a $50 discount for this weekend until May 15th. And if you want to hear a little bit more in detail what that weekend is going to be about, feel free to go to my website at AstrologerCoach.com and click on weekend courses. There will be a video and a very detailed description of what the weekend will be about. It's going to be very powerful. That's all I can say. It's a really beautiful exploration of our soul's journey and our soul purpose. And I've taught this course a couple of times now, and everyone just absolutely loves it. It's a fantastic course. So if you're at all interested, check it out. And the second thing I wanted to say was I wanted to give you guys a heads up because we'll have a 24-hour special sale that's coming up on Tuesday, May 5th from 5 p.m. until Wednesday, May 6th at 5 p.m. New York time. And this is going to be a really irresistible offer that is only going to be available for 3 people who jump on it when they see it. So stay tuned and stay connected via Facebook and Twitter. I will be posting a video on Tuesday, May 5th at 5 p.m. And I also will send a newsletter Tuesday morning. So if you want to receive my newsletter, you're not on that list yet, and you want to take advantage of that special offer, email us at info@astrologercoach.com and write newsletter into the subject line, and then we'll send you instructions so you know how to get connected to receiving the newsletter. Now, on my website, I also have weekly forecasts that I post every Sunday night. So if you want to hear about some of the aspects that I talk about in my videos in greater detail, I invite you to go to the page on my website that says Astrology Forecasts for 2015. This is a really great way to get a little bit more extra information. And I will also always ask coaching questions in my forecast. And I also always put relate which aspect will affect which sign and what degrees in your chart. So then you can also connect it to your birth chart and you can see how is this aspect affecting you. So this is a really great way. You can also describe to those forecasts via my website, via FeedBurner. Make sure that when you put the email address into that window, that you confirm your email address with FeedBurner. They will send you an email. If you haven't confirmed your email, you cannot receive the forecasts. Okay, that's important. Now, join me on Twitter and Facebook. There are links below this video, so you can just click on them and join me if you haven't done so yet. And if you have any general questions about the full moon, feel free to email me at Sonja@astrologercoach.com. That's SONJA@astrologercoach.com. I'm always happy to support. If you have any personal questions or anything that requires of me to pull up a birth chart for you, I will ask you to go to my website, to the services page, and book a reading with me, just so we can honor your question, that I can fully answer it, and I can also honor my time with that as well. All right, so have a fantastic full moon. This is an extroverted time. It's a relationship time. It's a time where we're seeking balance inside of us and with other people. So explore that and really explore all the attachments that you have that are kind of like keeping you protected, keeping you closed off, and keeping your heart sort of like frozen in place, and just melt your heart. Keep it open, connect, trust, and allow for that heart energy to shine and be really strong. All right, have a good one. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.